Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Lloyd, and I'm the Director of Development with Winterwood Incorporated. I'd like to start off by welcoming you to the grand opening of Frederick Place Apartments. Huge day for Winterwood as well as the city of West Liberty. The first person I'd like to introduce is the President of Winterwood, Carol Warsham.
Thank you, Brian, and I really want to thank everybody here. We're fortunately in an oversold position, which is an awesome place to be. I thank everyone for coming, and I am so very grateful for the sunshine. When we were here last week, the forecast was 70% chance of rain today. So to all of our partners, I mentioned this to someone earlier, to all of our partners that will be receiving gifts today, you will be receiving a lovely, truly lovely umbrella in celebration of this awesome day. But if you also remember, 2 weeks ago today, we were all digging out from under a foot of snow. So the sunshine is so welcome. It's a little cold, but it's a beautiful day, and we're just grateful for the beautiful sunshine. When I think back on those events of March the 2nd, 2012, 3 years ago, it reminds me of so many other storms that have hit our nation over the past few years. And the one thing that I found when I tried to think of what did I want to say today about this special day, and the word that kept coming to my mind was the word resolve. When you see the people on the news and they talk about building their cities back and bringing their towns back to where it was, or even to a better place, they had a resolve. We're going to have a wind issue here. They had a steadfast, fierce resolve to bring their towns back, to build their homes, to build their schools. And Mayor, I have to say that the city of West Liberty is no exception. I think that within weeks after that devastation of March 2nd, you were seeing people begin to rebuild. They were beginning to bring their town back, to build their homes back, to build their churches and schools. And as we had the privilege of coming up here over the last 3 years, every time we come, it was awesome to see the progress made. And so I'm just so grateful for the resolve that the citizens of this community had, the resolve to bring their town back, and they're in the process of doing that so beautifully. The Liberty Heights Apartments was certainly no exception to the devastation that swept through here on the evening of March 2nd. We had 48 families who lost their homes. And not only did they lose their homes, but they lost most all of their personal possessions. I can remember in the days that once we were allowed to come here, we would walk the grounds and we would see closets ripped open, and all you would see would be people's clothes hanging there. You'd see toys all over the grounds, in ruins. The one difference that the residents of Liberty Heights Apartments had is that to rebuild their home was out of their control. That they were unable to come in and just immediately begin the task of rebuilding their home. They had to rely on others to do that. So when we were in our office trying to figure out what was it that we could do to help to bring this beautiful facility back to these residents, we knew very quickly that we could not do that alone. We had to do that with many, many partners, many peers of mine in this industry, professionals. And so what I would like to say that we did, with a few phone calls and emails and phone calls, and we quickly formed what I would call an unofficial partnership with several different groups. And this partnership, in my mind, had the the same resolve, and that was to reconnect the Liberty Heights residents to their homes. So it would be a very difficult task for me to name all of the different steps and everything that had to take place and did take place in order to bring us here today. And given only 5 minutes, you could not do it. You could not give credit to every single person. But I'd like to at least mention some of what I think are the highlights of what transpired over the past 3 years. It wasn't long at all when some friends of mine and my peers in this industry from Kentucky Housing Corporation, some of you are here today, and from HUD, they were the first boots on the ground. They were here offering assistance. They were here providing clothing. They were here providing food. We had some of our own staff, Tim Robinson, Bob Shook. We've had several people that were here night and day to help these people find a place and just to help them find out what next for them. They didn't even know what next. They didn't know where to turn. Our friends at HUD were able to provide housing assistance vouchers that were given to every resident so that they could go and find temporary housing at an affordable rate. So that even from the very onset, just days after the storm passed through, some of my peers and my partners in this industry were here working tirelessly to help these residents. KHC and HUD also made it possible through a risk-sharing loan, through low-income housing tax credits. But not only that, those are the vehicles by which that they made this possible, but they, along with our architect, our consultant, they held our hand every step of the way. They showed us every move that needed to be made in order for this to come to fruition. When something went wrong, they just said, okay, what else can we do? You know, that didn't work, let's find another solution. So the resolve that we all had as a team, I think, was just remarkable as well. For those of you who have made jokes about attorneys, I have to say that you've not met our attorneys that were instrumental in helping us with this project. We had two of the best, in my opinion, that went above and beyond. They did so much more than what their legal work actually was requested them to do. So our partners, our lenders, we can't forget the people that were willing to go out on a limb and actually provide the financing, hand the money over so that we could do this awesome venture. They were willing to go out on a limb. No one really knew every step of the way whether or not we were going to be here today or not. So we had many, many partners, and many people are involved in making this day what it is today. But we'd have to go back a little bit to the Frederick family. And if it weren't for their patience and their generosity, I'd like to say that they were willing to wait out a different storm, and that is when you work with the government, as those of us who've done over the years, you know that it's going to take some time. And they were willing to wait and be patient. And if it weren't for the Frederick family, we would not be here today as well. Many of you have heard me mention Juanita Frederick. She had such a compassion and a heart for the residents of Liberty Heights Apartments. And I believe that if she were here today, she would have fought the fight. And with her own personal, determined resolve, she would have made certain that these apartments were rebuilt. So, again, I thank you for being here. We are here today to commemorate the events of that tragic day, and we are also here today to honor the resolve that allows us to celebrate the grand opening of Frederick Place Apartments. Thank you all.